The village of Penallt lies some 4 miles south of the town of Monmouth. The area is a very productive agricultural one with much diversity to be found on the farms and surrounding small holdings. The village of Penallt has a strong community spirit and for some years has organised an event known as Art in Penallt, an event that has given people from the village and surrounding areas an opportunity to see and enjoy a vast range of art in its many forms without having to leave the village. Art in Penallt was formed in 2009 when a small group of local artists and residents in the village came together and organised an exhibition of high quality. The event is now recognised by artists, makers and visitors from far afield. Art in Penallt is a not-for-profit organisation whose aim is to organise an annual art exhibition in the hilltop village. The organisers are all local volunteers and work in partnership with Babington Meadow, a registered charity. They have also developed a close association with Made in Monmouthshire and local schools. The art is displayed in Capel Pentwyn and even at the Inn at Penallt, as well as the Babington Meadow. For the established artists and those who are new to the scene, it gives them an opportunity to showcase their work. Many local artists exhibit at Art in Penallt every year. For those who like viewing art, this is an event worth visiting without doubt. Here you will see First Day at School by Simon Probyn. I love this piece of work. It really captures the atmosphere we're all so familiar with on that first day at school. Here in Capel Pentwyn, one will see a vast range of superb works of art. Something for everyone is available in this exhibition. I love some of these pottery figures, superbly made. Here you can see showcased some work from local potter Walter Keeler. I love these designs. I love the colours. I particularly loved the Nautilus. What a very clever piece of work this is. It really caught my eye and the eye of many other people who came to see this exhibition. I caught up with Andrew Hill, who was doing another one of his fantastic automotive paintings. As I watched him put the paint on, you could almost hear the vehicle zooming past at high speed. I enjoyed watching Andrew create these colourful pictures depicting automotive sports over the years and vintage cars. I went on to ask him to tell us a little bit more about his career to date.
Okay, hi, well my name's Andrew Hill. I'm an automotive artist. I'm currently based in Kenilworth in the Midlands. Have a little studio in my back garden. And this work is sort of my creative hobby, I suppose. I have a day job. I currently work also as an automotive designer for Jaguar Land Rover, working for Land Rover in their SVO design division. But this is a passion that I started about 10 years ago. I started by creating a set of ideas for some automotive art, which I took to Goodwood Festival of Speed. I think it was 2009, and I sold enough paintings and took enough commissions to basically say, yeah, this is got some legs, this idea. And I've been building on that all the time. So I regularly go to the shows around the country, the classic car shows like Silverstone Classic or Goodwood Festival of Speed, have a stand there and try and sell my stuff. I specialise in both digital art and also real painting, as my daughter likes to call it. What I do is create limited edition prints from those originals. I've got quite a number of motorsport paintings which are based on famous paintings such as my one from Spa, where Derek Bell came second in the 917, the Golf 917, and I have a limited set of prints which are signed by Derek. So you know, that's a great addition to my work, is to get some of the stuff signed by the drivers involved with the cars. Excellent. So do you have a classic car yourself? Unfortunately not, no. I guess I previously worked for Lotus Cars, was involved in the original Mark I Elise from a design point of view, and for a year or so I had one of those as my company car, which was really fantastic. But nowadays my cars are a little bit more practical, so currently driving one of our products, a Land Rover Discovery, as my company car, which is a great vehicle obviously, so I'm very lucky from that point of view.
For those who enjoy making and creating art, this is also an excellent opportunity to meet artists, and by taking part in the many workshops they can learn and refine techniques to improve their own creations. Here we see the artist Richard Wills from Monmouth giving a masterclass in how to paint faces. There was a very enthusiastic crowd of artists listening to his every word, and later on he held a painting class at Pelham Hall.
He was a brilliant observer of people, and in observing, conveying the nature and the personality of people.
I caught up with Richard Wills at Pelham Hall later on in the afternoon and asked Richard to give us a kind of potted history of his career to date and his views on art in Penallt.
In the 8th grammar school, and I was fortunate enough to have an inspirational art teacher by the name of Mr. Davis. I went from there to Newport School of Art, where I studied fine art, and Thomas Rathmore, who was a very brilliant academic painter. So I was actually trained in a very academic way. I was taught to draw, the basis of what I think the whole arty creation is about is your drawing. So I have that basis to my artwork. My artwork varies tremendously. I am inspired by most things around me. In actual fact, I've been criticized that I am easily distracted by other things, and so I don't have the consistency of subject matter as lots of artists have. I seem to find a theme, and I work through the theme, which may last for 12 months, and suddenly something else takes my thoughts and I'm away in another direction. I don't think this is bad. I actually think this is part of the creative process. And it's led me from very academic types of painting, i.e. sort of my portraits, into sort of abstract and semi-abstract work, which involves the area in which I live and areas which I live close to, i.e. the Wye Valley, Forest of Dean. We are so fortunate to have so much around us which is so inspirational. I also love the coastline. We're 20 miles here from the Severn Estuary, which has been a great inspiration as far as I'm concerned, and I love Pembrokeshire. I love the coastline of Pembrokeshire, and that has been a great inspiration for me. So that's about it.
Okay, wait, just going to get a little bit closer if I can.
Okay.
Right. The Festival of Art in Penallt is an annual event that's become well established now. How do you feel artists like you change the contribution to that festival?
I think when they have gone to great lengths to bring professionals and semi-professionals into an area, a rural area like this, it brings in a lot of people who are slightly frightened of the idea of actually going into a gallery. But actually looking at paintings is a very natural thing to do. And so bringing art into an area like Penallt is a great opportunity, and we should be encouraging people to look at art. And if they don't go to the museums, this is an ideal way of doing it. And it's alarming that the Arts Council have stopped grants from a number of galleries in this locality. And so it's a great opportunity, but also a responsibility that people are allowed to look conveniently at art, and the convenience of seeing it in this area like this is great. It is very confusing to, in the selection of art for exhibitions. There is a necessity to sell artwork for the artist to survive, but it is also important to see that there is artwork taking place which is not necessary or automatically commercial, and to strike a balance between work which is generally accepted and work which is a little more unconventional is a challenge to the viewers. And this exhibition, which has been showing this week, has got a nice balance to it.
The various artist stalls at the bottom of Babington Meadow did a roaring trade throughout the day, and the majority of artists I spoke to were very happy with the number of sales and interest the exhibit generated that day. I went on to speak to Amanda Rayner, who weaves almost anything out of willow, and she produces objects to decorate your garden and objects that have a more practical use, such as baskets and even a willow coffin.
So my name is Amanda Rayner and my company is Wildwood Willow. I've been weaving for about nearly 20 years now, 19 years or so.
And do you have a workshop?
I've got a workshop in the village of Croydie Pane, and I run classes at Usk Castle, Humble by Nature, and a few other places in the southwest, on the Isle of Wight, in Wiltshire, Hampshire. Yeah, I teach wherever I'm asked to go.
Where do you source your willow from then?
So most of the willow that I'm using here comes from the Somerset Levels or from a willow bed that I manage up in Hereford. So I've got about 2 acres of willow that I cut every January.
So sustainable willow then?
Yeah. It takes me about 3 weeks to cut the willow bed that I've got.
And looking at some of the work you've got around here, you appear to be able to produce almost anything in willow.
Yeah, I like to kind of push myself and make whatever I'm asked to make, as well as finding the time to make the things that I want to make as well. So yeah, I like to get fairly creative with it. I think it would be boring if I just did baskets.
Yeah. So have you managed to create a waterproof willow basket yet?
Well, all willow, apart from the buff and the white willow, tends to come with a very thin waterproof layer on it, but it doesn't like being left outside for too long, so I do have to find ways of naturally waterproofing things so that they have some longevity outside.
What is the most strangest object you've been asked to produce by a commission?
Oh, the strangest one. That's an interesting question. I make a lot of things. Lampshades, the African style lampshades, I think have been quite good fun. That was something that I did last year. I've just made a 5 metre by 5 metre willow dragon for a theme park in Epsom. That was quite a quirky, interesting and massive project. That took me about a week to do that, so that was quite full on. Yeah, the dragon was probably the quirkiest one yet, I think.
Okay.
So this is the very initial stages of a willow lamb that I'm weaving for a gentleman who lives just outside Oxford. There are 2 of these that are going to be made this weekend. I'm just using buff willow at the moment because my steamer broke yesterday, so the green willow that I'd started to prepare wasn't ready to go. So this is going to get a different colour put over the top of it, and by the time they're finished they will look like 2 lambs that are playing with each other, but as I say, they're in the very initial stages at the moment. I've basically built the framework onto 2 metal stands to help them stand on their back legs, and then I'm just weaving the sticks around each other. Having already made the framework, I'm now putting on the covering. I estimate that they'll probably take me another 3 or 4 hours to finish. Well, this one will probably take me 3 or 4 hours to finish, and then the next one probably about 6 hours from start to finish. I'm just threading the sticks through until I get complete coverage, and then I'll start to pay a bit more attention to the details like the feet and the tail and the ears and things. But at the moment you can still see right through the body, and the legs are not quite thick enough. Everything needs a really good thickening up, so it'll take a little while and a bit of concentration to pull everything together.
Next I went to talk to Tess Cooling, who has gained quite a reputation with her works of art.
Hello, I'm Tess Cooling and I'm an artist, and I produce calligraphy and do illustration. I've got an exhibition here at the Art in Penallt, and I love what I do. I enjoy my day, and when I wake up on a Monday morning, I'm not dreading going into school to teach children and be faced with a senior management team. I'm thinking, what can I do today? What can I create? What can I make? And I produce all these pieces of art. I'm not always sure why I'm going to produce a particular thing, and some things just come naturally, and some things take a little bit more effort. The work that I produce, I have to understand from first principles. If I'm teaching anything, I have to understand that from first principles. So when someone asked me to produce a piece on Buddhism and about the Four Noble Truths, I had to understand Buddhism, and my father, who is an Anglican priest, taught me about Buddhism because he was a former teacher of world religions. So my parents are both Anglicans. My father sadly died 3 years ago, but I still talk about him as though he's alive, because to me he's very much alive, and my inspiration comes from years and years of being made to go to church and being perhaps a little bit less interested than I should have been in the service. So I used to love to go into the graveyard, and I would like to look at the inscriptions on the tombstones, and hence I've always had an interest in lettering and illustration, particularly ecclesiastical illustration and the different sorts of crosses, Celtic influences. There are some very high church influences, but there are also some more metaphysical influences, and I love nature, and I love being outdoors, and I love colour, and I'm a bit of a purist. I like things to look what they are like, rather than trying to make something look like it isn't. So I'm very particular about a lot of the illustrations I do, and they have to resemble something that is lifelike rather than an idea of something. So that's why my work is very time consuming. I enjoy doing pieces of poetry, quotes, religious verses. People have my work for weddings, christenings, sometimes just because they want a piece of art to fill a wall. I take commissions from people. I've had some other funny stories with different people who've asked for things, and then when you give them a sketch of what they've asked for, they say, "Oh, I don't like that," and then so you can actually influence them with the ideas that you think might work better. So it's always best for me if people are willing to be flexible, and I always try to embrace their ideas and include their ideas and we work jointly to come up with a piece of art that's something that they would be proud to give or to hang in their own home. Thank you for listening to me, and if anyone's interested in my work, you can contact me on www.calligraphy.co.uk. Thank you.
Just dip my brush in water so it'll spread a bit more. Nice thick paint, slap it on. Hope I don't end up with an orange mark or a speckled mark. I'll just have to keep using it for the art. So I'm going to just start by bunging some on. I've got to work quite quickly because it is very, very hot in here. Where I've got little lines where I've already drawn what's going to happen, I'm going to just go around them a little bit. I'm going to start with this area of black around here, around the cow. But I'm going to, so I can find them back afterwards. Because having drawn it, I don't want to cover it all up. Right through to the middle. Do make plenty of paint if you're using acrylics. There's nothing more annoying than people who make up a teaspoonful of paint and then they're halfway through and they've run out. Top of the head, make some nice little shapes, and up across the top of the ear. You've got to half make it up because you can see a little bit on there, but you can't see it up there. It's going to make the size of the face. There's a little bit going down there making that edge of the face. I'm going to start with that. My next highlight colour is a nice pink, because I don't think I ever do a painting that doesn't contain pink. I love it. And I'm just going to make some decisions really on where to put it. I do sometimes wonder if the people who bought my paintings know that it's DNA samples so it can be proved in years to come. And any time it's a bit wrong, that's a little bit light, or what it's doing actually. So you can see you've got white, it's definitely white, but there's some really nice colours in it. I wish I'd left a little bit more dark to it. Let's just put a bit more back in again, that's the lovely colour of pink with it, isn't it? Push it in, bring up the light on that one. Warm, going out to flesh tone. Get a bit off my brush. And I'm coming up. Let's put her eye in, and we'll do a little bit of fiddling around. The eye we always think. So you can do it with a paintbrush, but I would recommend the Unipaints. They're gorgeous.
Later on I went to see Tez Roberts, who does a fantastic range of beautiful ceramics of all shapes and sizes, and some very, very detailed ones indeed.
Been doing this for about 20 odd years, and I just really enjoy the material. Clay is my passion, and fire is also like kind of an equal part of it. Clay and fire make ceramic. So.
How do you feel bringing your ceramics into this rural village of Penallt changes people's appreciation of art?
I think it helps with their understanding of the work that goes into it, especially when people are watching the demonstrations of different artists, including myself. It helps people like kind of appreciate the time, the effort in training, in developing your products, and it's just really nice to be able to share it within a village that I'm really close to, with Redbrook and Penallt, and lots of locals who are coming and having a look around are actually able to see what it is I do, whereas like kind of I'm putting like kind of I suppose a job to the face. People don't necessarily realise that I'm a ceramicist.
Could you tell me how long it took to make that piece you're holding there, and what's special about it in terms of its manufacturing?
In contact hours, which, because there's a lot within clay and ceramics, there's a lot of, you make it, you let it dry a little bit, or you kind of, you move on. I suppose contact time is about 3 hours of actual contact time. Then you've got the 8 hours of the first firing and then the 12 hours of the second firing, but I'm not really involved in that. I just like kind of the kilns on, but contact time about 3 hours.
And is there anything particular about the glazes you use?
This one is a particular, all my glazes I make myself, which I've laid from recipes throughout the years. I then develop them and do a lot of testing, so I know exactly how the glazes are going to work. I use glazes that work for me, so they break over the edges and things like that, instead of concentrating on the decoration side. I'm not a decorator, I'm working full, so the glazes are functional glazes, I suppose.
These metal spiders cause quite a bit of attention at the entrance to Capel Pentwyn. In the garden, a metal sculpture by Simon Probyn called Flame commanding much attention. Here is another one by Simon Probyn entitled What's the Point? Quite a clever name, I think. Lastly, this galvanised steel structure called The Gardener by Nick Burns is quite intriguing. The Gardener by Nick Burns is also quite a dramatic piece and really does catch the eye. That brings our visit to Art in Penallt 2018 to an end, and I do hope to see all of you next year, and hopefully more of you will come and see the Art in Penallt.